Good evening and welcome, America, from deep in the heart of Dixie to Tunes and Tales from the Woodshed. We're coming to you live from beautiful downtown Paris, Tennessee, home of the world's biggest fish fry. Produced by WTPR, West Tennessee Players Resource, and Keel Media Productions. Your hosts tonight are Tom Westhoven, Paul Holt-Grew, with Levi Wayne as the hippy-dippy weatherman. And here they are, folks, Tom Westhoven and Paul Holt-Grew.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
How's everybody doing out there tonight?
Welcome to Tunes and Tales from the Woodshed again. Another great Thursday night. Boy, have we got a great show for you tonight. We're excited about this one. There's a couple other things we want to talk to you about. Number one is our new email address. We do have a new email address. It's tunesandtaleslive@gmail.com. So you can send us.
Maybe not. I don't know.
No, they can't see it. So you can send us fan mail, or if you like one of our guests, you can send fan mail to them through us, and we'll get it to them. And it's pretty cool. Yeah, we really enjoyed that. Now we got a new email address. We didn't have one before. So one thing we want to talk about tonight is the upcoming River Jam, which is in June this month. And of course we have a couple other things going on. One thing we want to talk about is our picnic. We have a picnic of our own. It's the second annual picnic. It's going to be up at the parlor, and it's just a big time. Everybody comes out, and a bunch of musicians bring their guitars and their banjos and their fiddles and whatever, and we eat and we play music and we just have a really big time. So that'll be June 27th, and it starts at noon, and it goes through until the sun goes down. When the sun goes down, Levi the weather guy will say, well, it's dark, y'all can go home. What do you think?
Yeah, probably.
Sounds like a good idea. Okay, and then we want to talk about the River Jam a little bit. The River Jam's come up. That's the 17th, 18th, and 19th of June.
Who's going to be there?
You know what? I think the Oak Ridge Boys.
Oak Ridge Boys at the Court Square that night.
Yeah, and then Daryl Worley's going to be here.
Daryl Worley.
And who was the other act?
Oh, you're kidding me. Diamond Rio.
Diamond Rio. That's what it is. Yeah, Diamond Rio. They're going to be here. So if you're in the Paris area, the 17th, 18th, 19th, and 20th. There's music everywhere. If you want to see some good music, you want to show up and come around here. Almost every bar in the county is going to have music. Yeah. So that's a big deal. All right, we had a few technical difficulties here. Had a microphone problem, so we're back. What were we talking about? I was talking about, I think June 11th, we're doing a songwriter showcase up at Foreman's.
July 11th.
Yeah, July 11th. I'm sorry. The 11th, and we're gonna have a bunch of songwriters up there, and we're gonna be doing it'll be a fundraiser for somebody that's house just blew away yesterday with a tornado. So. You might want to be around for that. But anyway, what I was trying to say is, if you're around here, the end of the month or the middle of the month, 17th through the 20th, man, if you're coming anywhere near Paris, Tennessee, you want to get down here about that time. So because we're having so much going on here, and we're actually going to be playing over at L&L's, and we'll be playing at Foreman's on Friday night up there through the River Jam. So we're going to be having a big time too. Plus, we're going to be doing this show, and another thing come up that I just got the word on. We're going to be doing the Henry County Fair, and that's going to be I think we're going to be playing the 10th through the 14th at the Henry County Fair, and we're going to try to have a live podcast from there. So that'll be really cool.
Interesting.
Yeah, that'll be really good. So I don't think we introduced ourselves tonight. I'm Tom Westover, and you are Paul Holker. Yeah.
Got that mic off of the stand in front of you.
Yep. And do what with it? And use it? Okay, how's that? Okay, well, we got to share a mic tonight. So, anyway, one thing I do want to do, and I want to let everybody know who some of our fans are. And I forgot my glasses, but I think I can. No, that's okay. You hold this. Because if I hold that out there, I can read it.
Okay.
So I don't really need my
Your
glasses.
arms are long enough, you can read.
Yeah. Oh, my glasses are up here? Okay. We want to say hi to Cindy Dainsworth. She's from Waverly, Tennessee. And she watched us last week and left a like on our Facebook page. And then there was Caleb Clark, who we actually saw last week. And he's from Linville, Kentucky. And then this guy, I want to really say hi to this guy. He used to be my drummer about 40 years ago. His name is Richard C. Morris. He lives in Swain, New York. Now, Swain, New York is really out in the boondocks.
Yeah.
Yep.
Swain, New York.
Yep, that's where he lives. And then we want to say hi to Lennis and Greg Adamson, and they live in Geneseo, New York. We have a lot of people from New York watching us. You know that?
And Zimbabwe.
And Zimbabwe, Tampa, Florida, from pretty much everywhere around the world. All of a sudden, we're getting these people watching us. Anyway, the big thing we got going on tonight is we have Daryl Mosley with us, and we are thrilled to death to have Daryl with us. Daryl is a singer-songwriter, and he does a lot of bluegrass and gospel music, and
Been doing it for a while.
oh yeah, he was on the Opry for a long time, and he worked with the Farm Hands for a long time, and he worked with all kinds of groups. So I
We'll
guess
let him explain that.
yeah, let's not wait around. Let's just introduce Daryl and we'll go from there.
All
Okay.
right. Daryl Mosley, how you doing?
Guys,
how are ya?
I'm good. I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight.
Yeah, we're glad to have you.
Been looking forward to being down here. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah. You want to get the thing is we got to be careful because they might chase us out of town. You may have to run with us.
Well, okay.
Yeah,
I should have backed in, I guess,
Yeah.
instead of pulled in. So, no, I'm kissing.
Yeah.
No, I'm good.
Yeah.
No, this is great.
Yeah, wrote some great songs.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I grew up in Humphreys County, so I've spent a lot of time over in this area. I mean, in high school, I worked at the radio station in Camden, so we were in Paris a lot. So lots of friends in this area of the world, but all I ever wanted to do was play music. And so I started playing professionally back in the late 80s, and I've never stopped. I've been doing it ever since.
Yeah. Now you were kind of like on the Opry a lot, huh?
Yeah, well, the first 10 years of I started playing music was professionally anyway. Was started in the late 80s, and we were doing. I was with a band called New Tradition, and we were doing about 200 dates a year.
Yeah.
And but towards the end of that decade, I started out. I didn't have any kids. When I finished a decade, I had 3.
Yeah.
And I was missing all the cool stuff, So I wanted to be home more, and I thought, well, I'm going to have to come off the road. And fortunately, I hadn't been off the road very long when Bobby and Sonny Osborne called.
Yeah.
And they needed somebody who could play bass and sing harmony. And so I had a chance to spend about 10 years at the Grand Ole Opry, which was one of the greatest gifts I've ever been given.
That's great. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was, to me, I mean, I loved playing there and playing at the Ryman. And I've got so many great memories and some funny stories and things that happened there. But the best times were just times sitting in the dressing room and listen to those guys tell the stories, and I became really good friends with people like Little Jimmy Dickens and Gene Shepard, and people that have passed away now that I wouldn't take any amount of money for those conversations and those times just sitting on the couch and sharing.
Yeah, that's great. That's great stuff. Yeah. So you've written some really cool songs, man. I've been listening to a lot of your stuff, and you got a really good one right now. It's kind of, I think it's on the top of the charts, isn't it still?
Oh, which one? A few years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, actually,
No.
I don't mean it that way. I actually I'd been in bands for so many years, but I left playing in the band and started working just basically solo and with my own band in 2019. And so one of the first things I did was put out a solo record, and this was the very first single from it, and the very first number one I had off the record. But I always tell people this was my midlife crisis song, because I looked back over my career and I realized that there was some really cool things that happened, but a lot of that stuff I just stumbled into. I just accidentally ran across it, and also some things, some totally terrible mistakes, bad decisions, because we didn't know any better either, And I think most of us can relate to that. We look back on our life, and there's things that we'd love to relive and things we'd love to redo. And that's what the whole song was about.
Well, it must have hit Paul about the right time. Because 5 minutes after we heard it, he started learning.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. That means so much.
That song really did. That was one of the songs that caught me. Yeah. And first thing I said was, that's going to be a number one hit. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it. It truly was. So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we love that.
It's a favorite, and I do cover it a lot.
Well, if
I need to send you some money,
no, sir. No, I'm just tickled that you sing it. That means a lot to me. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's a great
Why don't we
song.
get into it? That's
well,
a
I'd be
great
happy
song.
to sing it. So.
I may be humming along with you, though.
Well, that's just fine with me. A few years ago, I was stronger then. I could work all day and I could dance all night again. The future seemed like a far-off place, and I was busy searching for a dream to chase. I had no idea how much I didn't know a few years ago. A few years ago, man, I sure could flirt. Never giving thought to who all might get hurt. I wasn't thinking about anyone but me, and the landmines up ahead I just did not foresee. It was, as they say, my first rodeo a few years ago. Back when my hair was dark and my days were long, and I was never sad, and I was never wrong, and I never dreamed that I would have regrets for the things that I can't change and things I can't forget. A few years ago, a few years ago, man, I knew it all. Now I shake my head at that fool child I recall. Well, I've been blessed a bunch, caught a break or two, but sometimes there's still a little sense of deja vu when I hang on to the things I should have long let go a few years ago. Back when my hair was dark and my days were long, and I was never sad, and I was never wrong, and I never dreamed that I would have regrets for the things that I can't change and things I can't forget. A few years ago, a few years ago. There you are. Thank you. Well, I appreciate that. That was a lot of fun to do.
And the video was cool too.
Yeah, that was fun. I shot part of that down in South Carolina, and they had me gathering up some old pictures from, and I had everything from when I was singing out at Loretta Lynn's when I was 16, and times at the Opry and everything. So yeah, it turned out kind of cool. It's fun to look at.
Yeah, the biggest biggest thing I noticed in that, you were driving down the road singing, and somebody went by and you waved at them. I thought, that's definitely Tennessee.
Yeah. Just have it. That's how we do it down here.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
that's right.
I saw that and I said, "Yep, that's Tennessee." Yeah,
they do that in New York too, don't they?
Yeah, but it's with a different hand, different fingers. Yeah, they wave, but it's.
Oh man, I was in New York one time with the Osborne brothers, and we were traveling a tour bus, and we got off on a parkway, and you're not allowed to have tour buses on a parkway, and we did not know it. But everybody else on that parkway did, and they made sure we knew it. I'll never forget that.
Yeah. Well, I came from way up in near Buffalo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so we didn't have parkways and all that up there. We had just back roads like we got here.
Oh, gotcha.
So, yeah, but they I love that kind of music, and that's the kind of music we played up there.
Well, it's funny. When I grew up, like I said, growing up here, and Daddy didn't really like to drive, so we didn't take family vacations. We'd go camping or something like that, and so I was grown before I started traveling, and so my idea of New York was New York City, or if you think about Pennsylvania, I thought Philadelphia, and then I got to traveling, and I'm up in in Western New York and Western Pennsylvania, and man, it looks like here. It looks like Kentucky, And you're right, the people, they're our kind of folks. And in fact, I was in Pennsylvania, that part of Pennsylvania last weekend, and just felt right at home.
I don't know if you felt this when you were playing out. Bluegrass folks are a different breed.
Yeah.
They're a different breed. They hang with you through thick and thin.
Yeah, the bluegrass industry is kind of like a small town. Everybody knows everybody, or if they don't know you, they know of you. They know who you're with and who you play with, and that sort of thing. And so you're right. There's a familial aspect to it that I appreciate.
Right. Yeah. And even with the performers, that if they're out milling around the crowds, they'll jump in a jam.
Oh yeah.
And play. Other than Bill Monroe, Bill had his own set, but he did. Yeah. He did come in when we were in the green room one time, picking around, taking a song, and the door cracked open, and he stuck his head in. Phyllis, you care if I join in with you? And, well, no, we're going to tell the father of Bluegrass, no, you can't come join. Yeah, come on in.
Everybody's got a great Bill Monroe story, but I'll tell you mine, the one that actually happened to me. When I was about 17, Opryland was still going at the time, and I figured out on a Friday that there was a door I could sneak through and get backstage at the Opry. And I thought, well, if I stay out of sight for an hour or so, then I can hang around backstage once the Opry starts. So that's what I was trying to do, just kind of try, because it was early in the evening and nobody had showed up yet. And I walked around a corner and physically ran into Bill Monroe. Now Bill was a large man, tall and very strong and very proud of that. And he just stopped and looked down at me. And I'm like 17, and I just started confessing. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to be here. I snuck backstage. And he said, are you not supposed to be here? I said, no, sir, I'm not. He said, you come with me. I'm thinking, great, I'm going to get kicked out. Yeah. But he took me right to the stage and showed me where the benches are behind the band. Yeah. And he said, you sit right here, and if anybody asks, you tell them you are a special guest to Bill Monroe. And that's where I sat, and I watched the Opry that night. He could not have been nicer to me.
Oh, yeah. How cool is that? Yeah. Wow. That time we played in Huntington, Tennessee, and his guitar player, I think it was
Wayne Lewis.
Wayne Lewis, yeah. He called us and got us the gig, and we were glad to do it. And we played. We were on stage in the first set, and here comes Bill walking down the aisle in front of everybody, just walking down with his mandolin in his hand, not the case, with the mandolin in his hand.
Right.
And it was actually Charlie Darrington's mandolin, because Charlie was in the process of fixing his other one.
Right.
Anyway, he climbs up on stage and he says, "Fellas, I'm gonna go ahead and play a few tunes with you." Okay, and he gets right on the front of the mic, and he said, "I might as well." He said, "You're playing all of my songs anyway."
Sounds about right. Yeah. Oh, I love it. That's great.
Yeah. So, have you got one on the charts right now?
The album is still on the chart. I did 3 singles, and they all did well. The last one, I think, it didn't make number one. It topped out about 5 or 4 on the chart, but it just started falling. So we're actually been in the studio recording the new album. New album will be out in the fall, but the first single from it will probably be out in early summer.
Okay.
And so I'm excited about that. It's all new, a bunch of new songs I've written. So.
Awesome. How many number ones have you got right now?
That I've actually written?
Yeah.
7.
7.
Yeah.
Well, I read a thing today that said 9, and I've been reading 7. Because I've been checking out your bios.
I'd have to think, and it depends on the chart and that sort of thing. There's, maybe I don't know. I'd hate to guess.
But you're on a couple charts. You're on the
there's
bluegrass, and you're on the.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, there's the stuff that I put out myself, but I've also written quite a bit of stuff that other folks have recorded, and so there's that too, and which is always fun because I get a chance to sing those songs. In fact, I've got a new song that me and a buddy of mine, Rick Lang, wrote that's going to be on the Grascals' new album, and so that's coming out soon. So, and I've been doing a lot of that, writing with other people, and I've got some incredibly talented writer friends that are a lot of fun.
Is Danny still with the Grascals?
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, in fact, Danny, of course, he co-produced my first album, and he came in and did the second one, and his daughter Jaylee, who is now with Sister Sadie, she came in and sang the harmony again, and she's another one of those. I think she's 19 and she's got more talent right now than I'll ever have. She's just so good, And so it's fun. But the funny thing was, on that last album, we recorded a song that Danny and I had recorded and back in the early days. Actually, he and I wrote together back in the days of New Tradition. And Jaylee was in there singing harmony. And I told her, I said, you realize the last time this song was recorded, you weren't born yet.
Yeah. Wow.
And she's in there singing on it. So it was fun.
That's an ingrained talent right there, too. Yeah.
Well, she came from good stock, you know.
Yeah,
I mean, and her mom, you know, Andrea, worked for many years for Petticoat Junction, and she played with Jimmy Martin and different others. And you know, it's all Jaylee's ever known. But you know, it's not just her exposure to it; she's just naturally got the goods. You know, some things you just know.
Yeah, sometimes.
Well, I know you got the goods. What's the next song you gonna play for us?
Well, I'll tell you, this is a. I'll do you the title of the album. In fact, the video of this song the record company released this video today, and one of the things that a great songwriter, Larry Shell, many years ago when I was first started learning to write, he told me best advice he'd give me is write what you know. And so I've tried to do that, write about living in this part of the country and the people here. And if you know anything about Waverly, we have a little barber shop there, and our barber was Mr. Toad Smith, who had been cutting hair for 67 years. But Toad's a wonderful man, just a great storyteller and historian, and you know, just a great guy. And a conversation I had with him one afternoon became this song. He was a Humphreys County treasure. He knew everyone by name. He could stand and talk for hours on just almost anything. He'd been our local barber over 57 years, good in raising up your spirits while he's lowering your ears. I never saw him in a bad mood or without that ready smile, but sometimes late in the day I'd stop in and talk a while. Once I asked him for his formula, his secret of life. He sat quiet for a moment, smiled again, and then replied, the secret of life ain't no secret at all. Just keep on moving forward and get up each time you fall. Some good friends you can count on, an understanding wife, and a fresh hot cup of coffee. That's the secret of life. Work hard for your money, but save some time to play, and you will never miss that dollar bill that you give away. And when you're at the crossroads of choosing wrong from right, a clean conscience is a pillow you'll rest easy on at night. Hard times are gonna happen, ain't nothing you can do. Just hold on to your loved ones, they'll help you make it through. Be quick to ask forgiveness, be quicker to forgive, and thank the good Lord every morning for another day to live. The secret of life ain't no secret at all. Just keep on moving forward, get up each time you fall. Some good friends you can count on, an understanding wife, and a fresh hot cup of coffee. That's the secret of life. I got some friends that I can count on, an understanding wife, and a fresh hot cup of coffee. That's my secret of life. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Commercials. And tonight, we're going to be talking about Backwoods Grilling Sauce. And we're going to be talking about Kenny's Meat Market. Kenny's Meat Market and Backwood Grilling Sauce, they go together because Alan Knowles runs Kenny's Meat Market, and they have come up with a great formula out there. Actually, I think George is the one that came up with that. She put this burger together, and it's Backwoods Grilling Sauce and a charbroiled burger. And I'm telling you, brother, I had one of them yesterday. It'll run down your arms and down your face, and it's absolutely delicious. And it's just amazing. And if you need some good meat, if you need like maybe some good steaks, some super steaks, you're having some kind of a gathering or something, go to Kenny's Meat Market. They got prime, they got choice, they got all kinds of great meat out there, and that's where you need to go to get your meat. Best meat in town. And that's this charbroiled burger is got to be the best. It's the best burger in the county. I swear to God. I had one yesterday, and I'm telling you, it was great. So, okay, let's get back to Daryl doing some more tunes.
All right.
Okay?
You want something else?
Yeah.
All right.
We'd love that. Yeah, we're enjoying this.
I'll tell you what, how about if I throw something brand new at you?
All right.
You can give me your honest opinion. This is I wrote this based on and y'all probably have this here too, but back home, sometimes I'm the youngest, I will say this, but sometimes I get invited to sit around the liars table with the coffee drinkers and solve all the world's problems. And let's think about some of those guys when I wrote this song here. You pass him without notice in his muddy boots and jeans, blue collar and dirty fingernails. But he's the one you call on when it's got to be done right, and he shows up just as steady as the mail. He says the most important tools are elbow grease and sweat. He takes pride in the work he's called to do, and he believes in earning every dollar that you get. And he don't quit until the job is through. He's the last of his kind, a product of another time, when a man's word and a handshake said it all. He is honest, he is strong, what we built this country on, and we'll be less of a people when the last of him is gone. He's a reader of the Bible, a regular at church, and the reason for a solid family. If you ask for his opinion, you will get your money's worth, 'cause he's never been afraid to disagree. He's a leader by example, a patriot at heart, a singer every time the anthem plays. His old school ways of living sure are getting hard to find, and we lose a few more of them every day. He's the last of his kind, a product of another time, when a man's word and a handshake said it all. He is honest, he is strong, what we built this country on, and we'll be less of a people when the last of him is gone. He is honest, he is strong, what we built this country on, and we'll be less of a people when the last of him is gone. Thank you much.
About these songs, they're all down to earth. You know, they're really, I mean, they're real, about real people, you know.
Well, I've always loved songs that do that to me, that, that Well, when I first started writing songs, what I thought a good song was taking, average everyday emotions and flowering them up into these big, exotic words.
Yeah.
Great songwriting is actually just the opposite.
Yeah.
It's taking these really deep, meaningful emotions and experiences and writing them in the simplest way possible. And that's really hard to do. I mean, to do it well. The great writers, the Guy Clarks and the Bob McDills and people like that are just the masters at it.
Yeah.
It's like, I've got the same alphabet that Hemingway's got, but he knew something I didn't know,
Right.
and great writers are the same way. Yeah. And so for me, it's always been an exercise of trying to write in phrases that we can relate to and experiences that we can all kind of share.
It's real down to earth. That's why I really like what you do.
I appreciate that.
The way you weave a song, it absolutely just draws me in.
Yeah.
I'm just having all kind of flashbacks, and, especially when you talking about the man. You said the guys sitting around the liar's table.
Yeah.
And how many of them do you pass every day? And gosh, it's just amazing what you can do with your.
Well, I
with
think
work.
to me that's important to me. I want to write about shared experiences. I mean, that's the whole essence of songwriting is to be able to write something, and if somebody else hear it and say, "Oh, that's my story," or I know those people, or I know that place,
Right.
what the place and person they're thinking of is not going to be the same one that I'm thinking of, or the same one you are.
Exactly.
But the story relates the same way, and to me that's always the target. That's always what you shoot for.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah,
That's
awesome.
like your first song.
Oh yeah, a few years ago.
A few years ago, that absolutely, I was riding in the car with you. I was riding in the car with you, and I saw
Oh yeah, me too.
everything that you saw.
Right.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Well, I appreciate that. To me, that's the best compliment a writer can have is that that you got it, because that's what you want. I've heard songs where I'm sure they were, toiled over, but they just didn't speak to me. And there's other styles of music that don't speak to me. But I grew up on Don Williams and Merle Haggard and bluegrass music, and
Right.
gospel music, and so that's where I stay because that's what I know.
That song right there, that's definitely the working man.
I hope so.
You're right down there talking to everybody, us.
Well, that's what that's like I said. That's what I shoot for.
Yeah. Well, you hit it.
Well, I appreciate that.
You definitely hit it. Yeah.
Now you do a lot of church work. Gospel.
I've done a lot lately, a lot more lately, especially because thankfully churches have kind of opened back up. When COVID's happened, the first thing they did was shut down all music stuff because crowds were the first door that they closed, obviously, understandably, and so that'll also be the last one that they open back up slowly. And but churches have kind of are every week more and more, and so so the dates are picking up, and so I'm able to do a lot more work again.
You're doing a lot. You're doing a lot of churches.
Yeah, I've done a lot, and I'm thankful. It's nice to be back out on the road again.
Did COVID shut a lot of churches down over in your area?
Yeah, it did for a while, and of course a lot of churches, the ones that were, they would open back up, but they didn't have very many people, or they were watching it on Facebook and that sort of thing, and everybody was working it out on their own, and some churches that I have performed at since then stayed open, but it's a new world now. Their people are adjusting to it like everybody else.
One of your guys at the liar's table I met last year sometime. He said, "Why don't we just start having church at the Walmarts?"
Yeah. Well, that's the great thing about like I said, I grew up singing. The first singing I ever did was in church.
Yeah.
And so that was where I started, was me and a guitar and singing other people's songs and dreaming about a career. And now I'm 30 plus years on the other side of it, to get a chance to do that again, and just me and a guitar and sit down at a church and share these stories and the songs. It's been great.
Yeah.
You've written some really cool stuff.
I appreciate that. The biggest record I ever had was a gospel song. It's still played everywhere. I was on YouTube not long ago and heard a youth choir from South Africa singing it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And you could tell from their dialect that English was not their first language, but they were singing it in English, and I love that. I'll never get over that.
Do you want to do that one tonight?
Sure, I can do that.
Now do it where Tom can understand it, because English is not his first.
That's right. If you listen to Southern gospel music, there's the trio, the Booth Brothers, actually recorded this, and they were recording for Bill Gaither's record company at the time, and so because of this, I got to know Bill a little bit and spend some time with him, and again, talk about an amazing body of work, but their version's a little different, but this is pretty much what it sounded like the night that I wrote this thing. I was working in town one afternoon, attending some business affairs. I heard a commotion a couple streets over. I wondered what's happening there. A young man was running from in that direction. He stopped just to catch his breath. Oh, I asked him to please tell me what was the hurry. Oh, he smiled up at me and he said, I was trying to catch the crippled man. Did he run past this way? He was rushing home to tell everyone what Jesus did today. And the mute man was telling myself and the deaf girl he's leaving to answer God's call. Oh, it's hard to believe, but if you don't trust me, ask the blind man, he saw it all. Ask the blind man, he saw it all. My friend, if the troubles and burdens you carry are heavy and dragging you down, and you've tried everything you can possibly think of, and there's no relief to be found, friend, that very same Jesus that altered the future of a blind man, the deaf, and the lame, oh, he is still reaching out in your hour of trouble. One touch and you're never the same, and you'll be trying to catch the crippled man. Did he run past this way? He was rushing home to tell everyone what Jesus did today. And the mute man was telling myself and the deaf girl he's leaving to answer God's call. Oh, it's hard to believe, but if you don't trust me, ask the blind man, he saw it all. Ask the blind man, he saw it all. Oh, he saw it all. Oh. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I don't know how I haven't heard that before. I really don't. That's amazing.
Well, I appreciate it. It's been fun. You know, the year it came out in 2006, and it was their first #1. It won every award it could win, and it actually made the list as one of the top Southern gospel songs of all time. So I mean, but the thing I remember the most is I was sitting in the recording studio one day with Bill Gaither, just me and Bill had about an hour just sharing songs and stories, and you know, he'd cry and I'd cry, and it was great, you know. But Bill said, I'll never forget this. He said, Daryl, one of these days that song will outlive you. And I knew what he meant. You know, one of these days, if the Lord tarries, I won't be here, but the song will still be here. And to have that as part of my legacy, I could not be more proud of that.
Yeah, I think other songs will outlive you too. Some of these other
Well,
songs.
I appreciate that. You know, that's what you hope. And again, that's part of the reason that I write the subject matter that I do, because, you know, as a songwriter, I have this unique opportunity that it is possible that I could have someday grandchildren or great-grandchildren who never knew me, but what they will know about me will be from the songs that I left.
Yeah.
So I try to write songs that would at least instill, they would understand kind of where I stood on things and how I felt about things and what was important to me.
Yeah.
I hope so. I really do.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah, that's great.
When
That's a
you-
great
when
thing to
you
leave
hit
for
the,
your kids and grandkids.
the hook there with Ask the Blind Man.
Yeah.
He saw it all. I
Yeah.
thought Mike Tyson just hit me in the ribs.
Yeah.
That hit me like a ton of
That's a
bricks.
really
That was
good line.
that was a great feeling. I love that feeling.
Oh man, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I've had some really good songwriters. Rodney Griffith, who is a great Southern gospel writer with the group of Greater Vision, he told me, he said, the first time I heard that, I pulled over. He said, I thought, okay, I should have written that. How did I miss that? That is so obvious. But as songwriters, that still happens. I'll hear hooks all the time that somebody wrote, and I'm like, how did I miss that? You know, so that's a huge compliment.
Yeah.
That's a good song. Really a good song.
It really is.
Wow.
I've been listening to a lot of your stuff, and it's everything I've heard is really, really good.
Well, yeah, and it's funny because I never started out really to be a songwriter. I mean, I grew up wanting to sing and loving to sing, and then started learning how to play guitar when I was 12 or 13 or whatever. But but when I was singing out at the ranch, this would have been, gosh, early 80s, And at the time, of course, Miss Loretta was on the road a lot, so I didn't see her very much. And but one particular day, she was home, and I was able to go up and see her, and she knew I wanted to play music, and she was always so encouraging and so sweet to me. But she said something, I'll never forget it. She said, "Darling, do you write songs?" And I said, "No, ma'am, I don't." She says, "Honey, you got to learn to write." She said, "A lot of folks can sing them, but the good ones can write them too." And so from that day, I started trying to figure out how songs are crafted and what makes a song and what speaks to me in a song. And, and I always give her the credit for pushing me down that road, or I might not have gone down there.
Well, you must have studied real well, because your lyrics are wonderful.
Well, I appreciate that so much. I mean, I as with most writers, I read a lot, and that seems to be a common experience with songwriters that I know that are kind of ravenous readers, and I've always kind of got my radar up for something that somebody will say, and sometimes it just triggers. I got to mention my friend Rick Lang. Rick is a Grammy nominated songwriter, but he lives in New Hampshire. And so usually once or twice a month, he and I will get on Skype and we'll write, And Rick is the best idea man I know. And he'll say, "I've got this idea." And once I hear it, I'm like, "Oh, I know where to go with that." But that's what's great, is that once you hear that, you kind of get something to go on.
You sort of kick you.
Yeah, exactly. And he's really good at that. So I'm always, like I said, I always have the radar up listening for that unique way to say something that, that we've all said or thought, but never quite that way.
I've noticed in lately, if I write a song or something, I get something from old movies.
Mm-hmm.
I get a line from an old movie or something. Wow, that's a cool line right there.
I keep a list on my phone, like, of ideas, just if, that I may try to write later, or I may try to co-write later, and
Right.
and that seems to be something a lot of writers do, and I'm doing more co-writing than I used to, because trying to just broaden my experience, and other people bring things to the table that I wouldn't on my own. So, and that's a great thing about living in this part of the country, is I have access to some really talented friends who,
Thank you.
Yeah, that's right, and you're one of them. That's right. Make no mistake. And but like Jerry and I've been writing together, and Irene Kelly, and a lot of other folks. It's been good.
We just did a writers showcase that right in Waverly. You were out on the road.
Yes, last weekend I saw some of the pictures. Yeah,
and I'm telling you, we drew a big crowd, and they made a lot of money. It was a fundraiser.
I'm so glad.
And they made such. Oh man, it was good. It was really wonderful.
That's great. That's great.
I got tired at the end though and had to come home. I'm getting old, I got.
I get it.
10 o'clock, man. I'm all done. I'm heading home.
You're running on solar power. I understand.
Yeah. But it was good. But it was nice. But if you'd have been there, that was great.
Well, I would have if had I not been on the road. So.
Yeah. But you're out there,
Yeah, I try to stay busy, and that's been good.
Yeah, it's good for you. Yeah, keeps you going.
What you got coming up?
Well, let's see. Next weekend, or this weekend rather, I'm up in Indiana. I got a couple of concerts up there, and then I'm off for Mother's Day weekend, because I always take off Mother's Day weekend, and then honestly after that I'd have to look. I have a website if you want to check it out. It's just darylmosley.com, and
you've got some stuff in
my
Texas.
schedule's on there. So, and
or Kansas, I think. Kansas
I'm going back to
also.
Kansas and Missouri, and I play there a lot, and back to Pennsylvania, I know, in June.
Yeah.
Connecticut, I think, in August, and so
That's great, man. You're going all over.
Yeah, and I still love to travel. It's a different experience traveling alone, but that's I'm enjoying that too.
Yeah,
So.
that's cool.
Need a driver or a
Sometimes I do.
halfway harmonica player?
Last weekend I did 6 states and 2,000 miles in 4 days.
Oh my goodness!
By myself, but I do lots of audio books and lots of music and ball games on Sirius XM and I do that. So.
Ball games.
Who's your ball team?
Oh, I'm a big baseball fan. I'll listen to anybody playing. I grew up as a Cardinals fan.
There you go.
You know, I
There
grew
you
up.
go.
I grew up. You know, in the day when you had to late at night, you could pick it up on a transistor radio, and I could hear, hear the play-by-play. So
I was listening to play-by-play in 1964. Harry Carey.
Oh yeah, man.
Yep, and I had a clubhouse that I.
And the radio was only that big.
It was like a little miniature Coke machine.
Yeah, a little transistor. Yeah.
What is going on?
Yeah. Who knows?
Let me get that up.
Yeah.
Who didn't silence their phone?
Yeah.
There we go.
What's that song that you did about the preacher?
Oh, Hillbilly Graham.
Oh, this is a great song. You're gonna love this song, folks.
I have a friend back home, actually, former pastor, Brother Charles Martin, and Brother Charles is a great guy, and we've been friends for many, many years. But I heard sometime back that he had been given this nickname, and I don't know if he came up with it himself or somebody else gave it to him. So I decided I'd write this song. Well, I wrote it. We put it out. The song actually went #1. It was one song of the year. But the funny thing was, I was surprised because it's kind of it's a gospel song. But somebody said, I think the reason that song did so well, this song is the Harper Valley PTA of gospel music. And I didn't realize we needed a song like that. But
First time I heard it, I've been searching for it for like weeks, and I can't find it again. I don't know where it is. but I like this. I really like this.
Well,
song.
I'll sing it for you.
Okay.
He was saved when he was 7. By 17, he'd been called to preach. From the hills of Carolina, his field was white with many souls to reach. With no formal education or preaching school to help him with his call. Just a solid faith in Jesus and a Bible in his front bib overalls. He lived alone in the mountains and never had no running water or TV. But you could hear him on the front porch picking guitar, singing Closer Walk with Thee. He was a crack shot with a rifle and the best tractor mechanic in the land. And he could sure preach you a sermon just as good as any highbrow preacher man. We called him Hillbilly Graham, missionary for the mountain crowd. His walk was straight and narrow like the road behind the tractor where he plowed. He didn't dress up like some others you'd see on Sunday morning worshiping. But old Hillbilly Graham, he knew what's in his heart means everything. Well, the church board called a meeting. They told Hillbilly, you should be ashamed. You're out talking about Jesus when you look like you've been left out in the rain. You need to clean up your appearance, son. Take a little pride in who you are. Lose those faded overalls, the ball cap, and that beat-up old guitar. Well, Hillbilly kicked his chair back. He looked those fancy church folks in the eye. He said, can you show me in the scripture where it tells me thou shalt wear a suit and tie? All but the good book talks of judging other folks when they don't look the way you do. But don't worry, when I'm talking with the Lord, I'll put in a word for you. We called him Hillbilly Graham, missionary for the mountain crowd. His walk was straight and narrow like the road behind the tractor where he plowed. He didn't dress up like some others you'd see on Sunday morning worshiping. 'Cause old Hillbilly Graham knew what's in his heart means everything. Whoa, Hillbilly Graham knew what's in his heart means everything. There you go, Tom.
That's my favorite.
All right.
sound like little Tony Joe White.
Oh, yep, a little bit of swamp in there.
Yeah, that's a great song right
I like
there.
to thump that.
Yeah. Boy, that's a good one.
No, thank you.
Yeah. So,
Ah.
but
No, I
thought you had a question.
no, I didn't. I was sitting there just liking that song.
We talked earlier. We had a mutual friend, Charlie Darrington.
Yes, sir.
You actually worked with Charlie at one point,
No,
or just an acquaintance?
Just got acquainted with him. At the time that I knew Charlie, he owned a music store at Bellevue, in West Nashville, and Fred Duggan, who was playing guitar with me in New Tradition, was working there part time, and so we used to hang around there a little bit. And I just loved Charlie. He was such a good guy, and I miss him. He's good. He was a good one.
He was, and then he was so talented.
Yeah.
He played with Dave Peterson in
1946,
1946, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'd go to the Station Inn, and J.T. Gray would kind of chase Charlie down for me and get him down there because I could never find him.
Right.
When I get to Nashville, I could never find him. He's always doing something with somebody else. But,
Yeah, he was a great, talented, great luthier, and
Oh, yeah.
and a bona fide idiot. And I mean that with all love. He was one of the fun guys to hang out with.
yeah, I bass fish with him. I know
Oh, well, you would know
lots
more than
of
me then.
stories.
Yeah, no doubt.
Okay,
Yeah.
fellas, we got to have another commercial here. We got to talk about Foreman's, and we got to talk about Peace of Mind, healthcare services. Gary Boyd runs the healthcare services. I'm telling you, she does such a great job. And they'll do everything for you that you can't do for yourself, including take you for groceries. And she won't put a roof on your house. Other than that, she's pretty much going to help do everything that you guys need done.
That's good.
And the reason she won't put a roof on your house is because she used to be a roofer.
Oh.
and
She
now
can
she's
put a
an
roof on
RN.
your
Yeah,
house.
she can put one on, but she won't. So that's why we say that. And our other sponsor is Foreman's.
Foreman's
And
be
that-
out there tomorrow night, right?
Yes, sir. We're up there tomorrow night picking and grinning and having a good time. And I'm gonna have to talk to Landa. And actually, I left my guitar there last week, so my Martin's up to Foreman's. But anyway, Foreman's is a good place to go. They got good food. They even let children in there. They have an arcade in there, so you can go up there and you can eat and have a few beers. Let your kids go to the arcade and run wild in there. And of course, you're going to spend a little money, but hey,
Yeah,
it's a good
that's what
place
it's
to
about.
have.
That's what it's
Yeah,
about. You hear
yeah,
some
it's
good
good-
music, good food, good quesadillas.
Yeah.
Quesadillas are great.
Yeah,
And I think they've got a used Martin for sale.
no, they got a Martin they're holding for me though. So yeah. Anyway, Foreman's and Peace of Mind Healthcare Services. So don't forget them, folks.
I won't.
Good. So back to Daryl.
One more thing before we get back to Daryl.
Oh, what's that?
I want you to remind everybody to get down there, subscribe to the channel down there, down below if you're on YouTube, down there, and hit the subscription button and the notification bell. Just click that, and we'll let you know what's coming up next week and the week after, and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Keep you informed.
Yeah,
and
don't forget to join Facebook, our Facebook page.
Right. Join TPR too.
Yeah, WTPR.
We let anybody in.
Yeah, we let you in. join our Facebook page, WTPR.
Daryl, have you joined WTPR yet?
I think I have actually. I think I did a couple
All
weeks
right,
ago.
yeah.
So
We're going to check you
Yeah.
out on that.
check me out. Yeah, verify that. But
So
if you don't mind, we'd love to hear another song, but we want to hear something that you want to play.
oh, okay. Ooh, something I want to play.
Yeah.
All right. This is one that I wrote about when I was 15. About 15, Daddy'd always wanted a farm, and so Mom and Daddy sold the little house in town and moved out to the farm. But by then I was already, working after school and on the weekends, and then I started driving long after that. So I never really got attached to the farm the way I did the little house in town. And the little house still over there in Waverly, and I used to drive by it every now and then and look at it, But one of the last times I went by there, I'm driving real slow, and I'm looking at that house up on the hill, and I realize there's somebody in the window up there looking back down at me, And I know they wonder why I was staring at their house, and it was an odd experience being a stranger in my house, But I realize that most of us have a house in our memory where we grew up or where our grandparents lived, something like that. So this will be a good one to wrap up on. This is because of all those emotions, that's why I wrote this song. A little wood frame house on a quiet street, the centerpiece of all my childhood memories. I drive that way every now and then, to remember where I came from and who I've been. I turn down that old familiar blacktop. I slow down, but I don't stop. The little house where I was raised surely seen its better days, and somehow looks much smaller than before. But Daddy's gone and Mama too. It's lived in by somebody new. Strangers locked behind our old screen door. Well, I still go back, but I can't go home anymore. I wish I'd known way back then just how fast time gets here, then it's gone again. One day I'm there with my folks inside, and the next time just a stranger slowly driving by. Now you might just see shingles, windows, walls, and doors, but to me it's so much more. The little house where I was raised surely seen its better days, and somehow looks much smaller than before. But Daddy's gone and Mama too. It's lived in by somebody new. Strangers locked behind our old screen door. Well, I still go back, but I can't go home anymore. The backyard where we tossed the ball till Mama said supper's ready, y'all. Then we joined hands and Daddy thanked the Lord. The bedroom where I dared to dream of places I had never seen, a great big world that called me to explore, then brought me back full circle to this door. Well, I still go back, but I can't go home anymore. Yes, I still go back, but I can't go home anymore. Thank you so much. Yes, thank you for having me. This has been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed this.
Well,
We may be calling you again.
Well, let me know.
somewhere down the road, yeah.
We'll come back and
Yeah, we'd love to have you
tell
back.
more stories.
Yeah.
Make up a few if we have to.
You're not a truck driver, are you?
No.
Just a regular travel.
That's
yeah.
right, just a
Yeah,
traveler.
Truck drivers, they make them up as they go.
Hey, do we have time to get the weather before we leave?
Yeah, we got to have that weather report, man.
Let me get
Has
some.
anybody seen Levi today? I haven't even seen Levi. Is he out
here?
here? Is he coming?
There he is.
He's just going to kind of slide. You want to take that mic there,
Hey,
Levi?
Levi, what's the weather look like?
What's the weather for us?
The weather forecast is cloudy.
Thank you. Thank you. We really appreciate
Well,
it.
there it is.
Yeah.
It's gonna
Well,
be
it wasn't
cloudy on the way
clear.
home.
Well, all right. I believe it.
It wasn't clear like it was 2 weeks.
Daryl, it's been a blast.
I appreciate that. Thank you. For
It's
having
like I
me.
told you when I first met you. It's like I've known you your whole life.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate
and we
that.
have had a lot of people cross our paths that mean something to us.
We've been,
Well,
riding around with you.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to know that. So,
Believe
Well-
me, we have.
well, I'd love to come back and do it again. Just let me know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we will do it.
All
yeah.
right.
It's
Thank
happened
you
a
so
few
much.
years ago.
A few
Yeah.
years. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's right.
I guess we're about done for this evening, aren't we, Kevin?
Next week.
Next week, yeah, we want to talk about next week. And let's see, we got Davin Roberts coming in.
Davin. Yep.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Burton Douglas.
Yep.
And they're going to come in and do some songs, and then we're going to have a good friend of ours. His name is Steve Rowlett, and he's a teacher here in Henry County School. And what he's going to do is come in here, and we're going to talk about what WDPR does for the schools and the money that we donate and the instruments that we donate to the schools. And that's what we're going to be talking about next week.
Yep. That's what we do.
Yep. So that's what we're doing, and we're going to be up at Foreman's tomorrow night. So if you ain't doing nothing, you all come up there and hang out with us. And I guess it's about time to say goodnight. Daryl, it's wonderful having you.
Thank you again.
Absolutely.
Yep. And we're going to say adios, amigos.
You want to sing it or you just want to say it?
Good night, Paul.
Good night, Paul.
Good night, Tom. Good night, Daryl. See y'all later.